c'est le requiem pour un con. Ouais, je l'ai composé spécialement.
Hello, and thank you so much for joining us here on Arts 24. For over 30 years, fans of French singer Serge Gainsbourg have flocked to his home on 5 bis Rue de Verneuil in central Paris. They put up posters and graffitied the walls in honor of the late singer. Well, Gainsbourg's house has now opened to the public as a museum and homage to him. Catherine Villette has the details.
A long-awaited homage to a father from his daughter. For Charlotte Gainsbourg, 5 bis Rue de Verneuil holds a host of memories. It's where she spent her childhood. Sometimes in the glare of the spotlight.
Hello. Ah, ça c'est Charlotte.
Yes. Hello.
Enfant illégitime.
I didn't get a letter, no, but somebody told me.
50 years later, Charlotte has made a long-awaited dream come true, opening the house to the public.
C'était un musée, déjà.
It was already a museum. I didn't touch anything, move anything. It's a modest place, and that strikes me considering the genius that he was. That side of him.
Cette dimension-là.
To keep the experience intimate, visitors are welcome, but cameras are not.
It's a very important day in my life. It's the opening of the house, just as it was very important to see the documentary Jane by Charlotte. She did a story about her mom. Today she's generously opening her dad's house to the public.
I've been dreaming about this for 20 years and I didn't think that this would be possible one day. We've been talking about it for years and now it's happened. I'm very moved.
Inside we are almost alone. And it's very striking because we really enter this intimacy, the kitchen, a little of all that, which are really small rooms.
The facade of the building is still papered with posters of the late singer, as fans continue to pay tribute 32 years after Serge Gainsbourg's death.
UNESCO, the UN's cultural body, has added over 40 new sites to its World Heritage List for 2023. Among them, a Viking-age fortress in Denmark and burial grounds in South Korea. Ukraine's Lviv and Kiev have also been named as World Heritage Sites in danger, which will enable them to receive more financial and technical aid. Here in France, the Roman temple of Nîmes has been inscribed on the World Heritage List, as well as the volcanoes and forests of Martinique's Pelée Mountain and Northern Peaks. James Vecina has more.
Once a school for members of the Argentinian Navy, the ESMA Museum in Buenos Aires now commemorates a bleak past. Outside the building are the faces of some of the 5,000 people who were interrogated, tortured and killed here during the country's last dictatorship.
Current and future societies must have a record of what a single group of human beings was capable of doing to another, something that should not be repeated here or anywhere in the world. Society cannot progress without memory, without a record of what happened.
It's one of the 41 sites to have been added to UNESCO's World Heritage List after the committee met in Riyadh to review applications. Among the new entries are several sites in Africa, such as the traditional Tamari houses in the north of Togo and in Benin, and the island of Jerba off the coast of Tunisia, on which people adapted to a water-scarce environment over 1,000 years ago and went on to build mosques, synagogues and churches that remain popular with tourists and pilgrims today. 4 memorials dedicated to the more than 800,000 people killed in the Rwandan genocide have also been added as the organisation aims to expand its criteria to allow more sites to join its World Heritage List.
For the past 2 years, countries have been reflecting on how to add another dimension to the World Heritage List, with an emphasis on memory. We want to see sites be recognized because of a particular event that happened there. so that these messages can be passed on over time.
The St. Sophia Cathedral in the Ukrainian capital Kyiv, as well as the old city of Lviv, have also been added to the list, with the two sites threatened with destruction because of the war in the country.
They are a Togolese music trio, and they've made a name for themselves by pioneering a unique musical style that combines electro and voodoo incantations. Les Nana Benz du Togo, which translates to the Benz Girls of Togo, have been touring Europe all summer. They opened this year's Jazz Festival at La Villette in Paris and wowed audiences not just with their musical style, but also their messages about women's rights and the environment. This report by France 24's Maï Schuster and Camille Nedlek.
Catchy rhythms and powerful vocals. The Benz Girls of Togo are hard at work in rehearsals in the Symphony Hall of the Paris Philharmonic. 5 years ago, singer Peter Solo from the group Voodoo Game gave them their big break. The three singers met during a musical workshop in Togo, and he immediately saw their potential. He blended the three women's vocal power, added a soupçon of synth, and digital voodoo was born.
We take inspiration from the voodoo convents. We were inspired by their singing style, which uses two ranges, don and mami. It's still the do, re, mi, fa, so scale, but there are some notes like fa that are not part of the voodoo scale.
There were no instruments to recreate the sounds of voodoo rituals, so the women built them themselves with recycled materials. They made DIY drums and a bass of PVC pipes, struck with a flip-flop. The group is shaped by that sense of resourcefulness, as well as a strong feminist identity.
African societies are patriarchal. Women are often relegated to the background. There is still a lot to be done so that we can regain the ground our mothers lost.
What I find interesting is their commitment, the fact that they're women who champion their own aesthetic. But more than anything, it's their lyrics that set them apart.
dois me laisser tranquille. Si je n'ai pas envie de toi, garde-nous namu olé, garde-nous olé.
The name Nana Benz du Togo is a reference to the businesswomen of the 1970s who made their fortune in the wax trade and drove expensive German cars. These modern-day nanas hark back to those past symbols of female success while forging ahead on their own musical path.
Senegalese singer, composer and politician Youssou N'Dour is in Paris this week to perform Birima. It's a historical story through music. It tells a tale of a king who ruled from 1855 to 1859 in a pre-colonial territory west of present-day Senegal. His performance includes songs, dances, and interactions with the public. It's actually inspired by his hit song Birima in 1996 and features some 40 performers. It also has a strong political and environmental message. Well, Youssou N'Dour spoke to France 24 about what he hopes audiences will take away from this performance. Take a look.
I think it was important for people to know that before colonization, we had our own way of operating in our own countries. For example, you had kings in Europe, but so did we. We also did the show in Wolof. People have been speaking this language for a very long time. We thought it was important to stick to Wolof, even if we made a lot of effort to help the audience understand our musical fairy tale.
The Dutch painter Frans Hal, alongside Rembrandt and Vermeer, were considered the best of their golden age generation. Hal made a name for himself with his, at the time, unusually lively portraits of smiling, relaxed, sometimes even laughing subjects. Well, London's National Gallery is honouring the painter with a new exhibition. It's the first major one dedicated to the Dutchman in 30 years. Let's leave you now with some images of that retrospective. It's called Frans Hal. Don't forget, there's more news coming up on France 24 and France24.com.